Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's Q&A. It's been a while since I've sat down and done a little fitness chatty catch up, so that's the plan for today's video. I think this time of year is always a good time to sit down and answer some fitness questions because my DMs are always flooded coming towards the end of the year and coming into January with people asking fitness questions. By the time you're watching this, my 2024 transformation challenge will be live. So if you're not familiar with my challenges, I do these twice a year usually, and I've done them for the last 3 years and they are always just insane. It's always the busiest time of the year for me. But basically it's 10 weeks long, it's €89 to join it, and the winner gets €2,000 cash. I'm actually giving away over €3,000 worth of prizes to first, second and third place this year, so it's a big one. I've really put in a lot of work this year to make it the best platform possible for you to make the most progress in the most enjoyable manner. So I'm really excited for all of you that have already joined. If you are looking at joining, I'm going to leave it as the first link in the description box. It is limited spaces, guys. It's first come, first serve. I'm going to be sending everyone's plans out on the 1st of January, but the official start date is until the 3rd of January, so you'll have a couple of days to get yourself organised. It is only €89 for 10 weeks of coaching. So I'm going to be coaching you. I'm going to be giving you a tailored meal plan and macros, a tailored training plan, whether that's at home or at the gym, and you're going to have check-ins with me as well throughout the whole process. So it's going to be insane. If you're looking to start the new year right, and if you're really prioritising your fitness next year, guys, then I wouldn't be skipping this challenge. It's incredible value. There's always insane transformations from it, and of course there are huge prizes at stake as well. So I'll leave it as the first link in the description box if you are looking to sign up. Anyway, I'm going to get into the first question, and it is a very common question that I get on Instagram and a lot from my own clients as well, and it is, how do you change your mindset with the number on the scale? There are so many things that can impact and influence your scale weight, whether that's your menstrual cycle, your stress levels, your sleep quality, inflammation from training, your digestion, your food choices, your salt intake. There are just so many things that will influence your scale weight, so it's never a good way to track your progress, because you could have had the most incredible week, you could be looking tighter, feeling leaner, your clothes could be fitting better, but the scale could tell you something completely different. And that's why it's so important to acknowledge these things. You are never going to feel fulfilled if you're basing your progress off a number, whether that's the inches in your measurements or the number on the scale. And that is definitely something that I've learned over the years. I've been going to the gym and on my fitness journey for a good few years now, and I can tell you that I have been the exact same weight at different stages and have looked and felt completely different. So the scale weight really doesn't mean anything. If you're on a fat loss plan and you're looking to lose body weight, it can be one way to see if you're making progress with fat loss, but it's definitely not the primary way that I use with my clients, because especially as women, as I mentioned, your menstrual cycle will play a huge role, your sleep, stress, water intake, salt intake. There are too many things that can impact your scale weight to use it as a way to track progress. So please keep that in mind, and hopefully that will change your mindset. Another quite common one that I get from girls who are on bulking plans. This girl asked, I'm scared to lift heavy in case I develop a blocky figure. How do I avoid that? So I think this is very, very common with girls starting the gym, being afraid of getting bulky or blocky. As someone who has been training for 7 years now, guys, I think we need to remember that it is so much harder than we think to gain muscle. It took me years to build muscle tissue because as women, we naturally have much less testosterone than men. If you have a guy and a girl going to the gym on the same workout plan, the guy is going to gain so much more muscle than the woman will. Unfortunately, guys, for us, we can't build muscle that fast, and it would take quite a long time and quite a lot of really heavy lifting and a lot of pushing food in order for the majority of us girls to ever get that bulky look. Of course, one thing that does play a massive role in your muscular development and the shape that you're building is your training approach. If you don't want to have a bigger upper body, then you would just change your training to suit that. I would say 3 years ago, maybe just pre-COVID time, I was definitely training a lot more upper body, and I was more muscular in my upper body. I was looking at doing bikini shows at the time, and I knew I needed like bigger shoulders and a slightly wider upper back in order to, you know, do well in one of those categories. I took that into consideration with my training program, and I was very much training my upper body a lot more than what I do now, because that's not really my goal anymore. To be honest, guys, I have definitely changed my training approach over the last 3 years. It's not as upper body focused. I'm much more leg / glute focused now, because that's the kind of look that I'm going for. But I still touch upper body 2 to 3 times a week, and I wouldn't say I've gotten very bulky from it. So your training approach will obviously play a role, and if you're bulking and really pushing food and progressively overloading with your upper body, then you're obviously going to develop more muscle in your upper body. But I would say we don't need to worry about getting bulky unless you're that like 1% who just has incredible genetics for building muscle tissue. Then maybe there's a certain group of people that, you know, don't need to train as much. But trust me guys, I've been training for years, and it's much harder than what you think to get that bulky look. Did I ever lose my period, and do I lift when I'm on my period? So I have never lost my period since I started in the gym, and through like multiple dieting phases. It can be quite common when people are competing. When girls lose their period, it's normally down to 3 different reasons. The most common reasons anyway would be extreme stress on the body. So whether it's physical or psychological stress, it can impact the release of your hormones, including cortisol. So that can have a negative impact on your reproductive hormones. Very low body fat percentages can impact your reproductive hormones, and being in an extreme calorie deficit for a long period of time can definitely impact your fertility and your reproductive hormones. So yeah, it's never something that I've actually been impacted by. I've never dieted that extremely for it to impact my reproductive health. My main goal with my own fitness journey is to maintain a healthy and happy and balanced lifestyle, and if my reproductive hormones were ever out of whack because of the gym or because of my lifestyle choices, then I would definitely be making some changes. But thankfully that hasn't been the case for me. And the second part of that question was, do I lift when I'm on my period? So I usually take day 1 of my period off. I might do some light exercise, like go for a 30 or 40 minute walk. You'd never really catch me lifting aggressively on day 1 for obvious reasons, guys. Like the pain, that's just not it. Like I don't think I could perform on day 1 of my period. From day 2 onwards, I'm actually normally okay, and I usually just continue my program as I normally would. Day 1 is always a day that I will take off, and I will be in my PJs and have a hot water bottle and just like take all that time to myself, because the last thing your body needs on day 1, to be honest, is to be putting it under more stress. I do find that light exercise, like light walking or really light slow spin session, actually can help with cramping and discomfort. But anything to do with heavy lifting on that day is just, it's a no for me. How to train upper body with breast implants. So I actually never really changed my training approach when I got a boob job. Obviously, after you get your boobs done, it's really tight. Like it can feel really tight for months afterwards. So I naturally just didn't train my chest. And any overhead movements after you get your boobs done, I think it was probably like 10 weeks or so at least, maybe even 12 weeks until I did anything overhead, because it was just uncomfortable. But now that I've had them done for a few years, there's nothing I changed about my training program. My surgeon didn't recommend changing anything. I did go over the muscle, so that probably changes things, because I have heard when you go under the muscle, if you're growing your pecs while you have an implant under the muscle, it can like shift your implants. But that's not something that I had to worry about because they're over the muscle. Obviously guys, if you're looking at getting your boobs done, ask your surgeon. Don't ask me, don't go by my word. I'm just going by what I was told, but I didn't change anything. If I'm honest, I don't train chest that often anyway. I probably only target chest once a week, and at that it's just like an incline press. So it's never a flat press or a decline press. But yeah, overall, like training upper body, it's the exact same. I still train my back, my shoulders, my arms, everything the exact same, and I just train incline chest once a week. Another question, what's the biggest mistake I made since starting my journey? That is a good question. I have made my fair amount of mistakes over the years. Like, I started training very young. There has been a lot of learning curves for me, guys, since I started on this journey. I would say one of my biggest mistakes was not getting a coach and just winging it. I was like 17, 18 when I first started taking training seriously, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Like, I was watching people like Mike Rashid, Ronnie Coleman, Arnold, like the Olympians, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to show up at the gym and I'm going to do like 17 drop sets and 2,000 ladder raises and leave. Like, I literally had the craziest, like most stupid training approaches ever, and I don't know how I didn't really hurt myself. Like, when I look back, I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my food. I was just listening to anyone and everyone on the internet, like Olympians. Like, who did I think I was? I was like this little girl with no experience in the gym, spending like 3 hours training. And don't get me wrong, I really loved it. I think that's why I didn't mind taking these crazy approaches. I just had so much energy and I loved the progress I was making at the gym, but I had no idea what I was doing, and if I had gotten myself a coach or someone that I trust, I think I would have really sped up the process and educated myself a lot sooner, and not made the mistakes that I did make. I actually ended up getting like a really bad hip injury when I was young. I used to play basketball at the time, and I was out of basketball for like 9 months. I was out of the gym for months, and that was from the training approaches that I was taking. I was training like 6 to 7 days a week on top of playing basketball and on top of playing football. I didn't have a clue what I was doing with my diet. I went through phases of just like turbo bulking, like just really pushing my food, and then doing dieting phases that didn't make any sense. And my mindset around food and training was just like, it wasn't there at all, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just following extreme approaches that led to me just burning out, getting injured, and it just took me so much longer than it should have, I feel. When I look back now, I'm like, if I had someone in my corner just helping me through and guiding me, it would have been just such a calmer experience and just less chaos. But when you live and learn, that was probably like my main mistake. But look, I was young, I didn't have that much money, but if I could go back in time, I would have made it work. I would have gotten myself a coach and saved myself a lot of injuries and a lot of time. Someone said before photo is better. I honestly didn't ask. I didn't ask. I put up this photo on my Instagram a good few months back now, and it went like semi-viral. I got lots of positive comments and people asking fitness questions. There was a lot of people hate on that photo as well. I remember, I think I was in Croatia at the time and I was on my holiday, and I don't check my comments on old posts because like once they're posted, there's something new up the next day. And I remember just getting loads of notifications of comments and comments and comments, and I was like, what is going on? And this photo had gone viral, and guys, the amount of mean comments on this, of people saying that like my after photo is disgusting, or I'm too skinny, or they prefer the before, or that I ruined myself. Like, there was hundreds of comments, and I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. I thought that it was just going to be like a little bit of a motivational post to show my progress over the last few years, but people just attack, and I don't think they actually consider that there's someone behind the picture. But I do remember that night, it did affect me. That was the first time I've been impacted by negative comments in a while. I was out for dinner on my holidays, and it actually ruined my night when I look back. But I suppose that's just part of it. Like, the internet can just be a bit of a mad place. It was a little bit upsetting because obviously in the photo you can see the before and the after picture, but I feel like a lot of these people didn't take the chance to like read the caption that I had on that post, and it was the mental progress and the why behind that photo was what I wanted to get across, and that was just completely skimmed over by lots of people like this person. But I'm going to stand by my why, and it no longer bothers me, to be honest. But at the time I was a little bit taken back. Like, the internet can be cruel when it wants to be. I can say that like 90% of my comments and my interactions online are positive. Anyway, I'm gone completely off topic, guys. Sorry, that was just one of the questions that came in and thought we should discuss. What's one thing you wish you knew when you started at the gym? So this kind of ties in with the biggest mistake question, but I would say one thing that I wish I knew was that the basics are best, and the basics are the basics for a reason. So the basics meaning like the basic lifts, your compound lifts, your basic foods from carbs, fats and proteins, and the basic diet approach is usually the best one. You don't need to go on a crazy detox diet or a keto diet, and you don't need to be training 7 days a week. You just need to stick to the basics and do them well and do them consistently. That will get you so much further than taking an extreme approach, realizing it's not sustainable, completely giving up, and then beating yourself up for it. Start slow, get the basics right, and the rest will follow. You know, you learn as you go, but don't overexert yourself and don't start with an extreme approach because it's just a recipe for disaster. What are your thoughts regarding cardio or weightlifting to reduce fat? This is a good question. Obviously, both cardio and weightlifting will lead to you expending more calories, which can help with weight loss. But if I had to choose, like if I was really stuck for time and if I had to choose between doing a weight session or doing a cardio session, I would be lifting weights every single time. The reason I say this is because when you lift weights and when you're progressively overloading, you're building more muscle mass. And the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn when you're resting. So if you had to choose between building more muscle or just burning some calories from cardio, I would be building muscle every single time. If I was coaching someone that came to me saying they want to lose fat and get more toned, then I would definitely have a combination of weightlifting and cardio. It's not really one or the other. There's a place for both of them, but if I had to choose, if you're stuck for time and you don't know what to do, then lift weights. Like, there are just so many benefits to lifting weights. There's so much more to it than just visibly looking better. It's so much better for your bone health, your insulin sensitivity, your muscle mass, your mental health. So that's my answer anyway. If I had to choose, I would be lifting weights if I want to improve my body composition. Someone said, I really struggle with motivation and discipline. One day I'm good, the next day I quit again. Can you help with this? When it comes to motivation and discipline, this needs to be intrinsic. It needs to come from you. We as humans hate being told what to do. I think we can all agree on that. I personally hate being told what to do. It needs to come from you. Your why has to be intrinsic because you can't rely on motivation. I feel like most of us know this by now. We can wake up on a Monday morning so motivated, ready to go, meals prepped, and then it comes around to the evening. It's cold, it's raining, you've missed your bus. The gym is closing soon and you've lost your motivation. You know, if you're relying on motivation in those cases, you're not going to make it work. It has to be more than motivation and it has to be intrinsic. You need to sit down and have some uncomfortably long conversations with yourself to figure out why it is you want to change. Write down why you want to change, and not because it's like revenge for the ex or because there's a wedding or a holiday. It's so much deeper than that, and when you find that deep reason why, everything becomes so much easier, guys. It doesn't feel like a chore anymore. And the motivation, it doesn't matter if it's there or not. It's just part of who you are, and it's part of, you know, your self-care routine to show up for yourself. One thing that definitely helps me when it comes to discipline is thinking of all the things you can gain instead of coming from a place of lack. I think a lot of people, you know, when they're struggling with their fitness journeys, you think of all the things that you're going to miss out on. I could be watching a movie on the couch now, all cozy and comfortable, or I could just order a meal deal instead of cooking my food. That just sounds better, and it just seems like a chore and you're coming from a place of lack. Whereas if you flip the narrative on that, remember all the things you have to gain from showing up for yourself, it really does become a whole lot easier. Whenever I catch myself complaining or giving out about, you know, eating my meals or going to the gym or moving my body, I snap myself out of it and remember that it is a privilege to be able to work on yourself. It's a privilege to have a gym membership or have access to weights at home. It's a privilege to have the food in front of you in the first place, and sometimes I think that mindset really helps. And you just need to remember all the things that you can gain. It's self-love, it's self-respect. You deserve to give yourself that hour of the day to like switch everybody else out and focus on nothing but yourself. Like, you deserve to give that to yourself. And I think when you shift the narrative, it really helps. Another thing that helps with staying disciplined would be staying organized. Don't wing it. Especially, you know, at the start of your journey, you're going to have some lifestyle changes. You can't do the same shit and expect different results. Like, you're going to have to make some changes in your routine, and that's going to be uncomfortable. Like, we are programmed to do the same things over and over again, whether that's eating out or not exercising or sleeping in. If we do things over and over again, we're programmed to continue doing them. So I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's going to be hard, especially for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks when you're changing your habits. One way to make that a little bit easier is to stay organized. Don't wing it. Have a plan in place on your notes or on a notepad somewhere of your times, your meals, how you're going to schedule your week. And just remember that it's going to be difficult, but oftentimes, you know, when you do decide that you want to work on your fitness goals or you do want to eat better, it's more difficult to stay in a position of being fed up with yourself than to just make those simple changes each day and remind yourself of why you're doing it. And lastly, when it comes to discipline, one thing that definitely helps me is having an accountability partner or just someone that you've told your goals too. So for me, I tell Alex what my plans are at the start of the week, how many sessions I'm going to do, what meals I'm having, and my goals basically for the week, so that we can check in on each other. He does the same with me, and I think it definitely helps. And then over time, you know, you probably won't need that anymore because you'll be reaping the benefits from your new routine and you'll be really enjoying it. So those are all the questions for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check the first link in the description box if you're looking to start 2024 on the right foot and do the transformation challenge. I'm going to try my best to keep spaces open for as long as I can, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.